Chris, it seems like you might have a little bit more of a problem answering this. I think it's obvious that Resident Evil 4 is going to be better, both critically and commercially.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, I don't even think it's a contest personally. Like I love Dead Space. Look, I think Dead Space as is actually better than Resident Evil 4 personally. Like I think it's a better horror game. I think it's a better, third person, even just as far as just like the horror elements of it. I think it's better in those aspects. However, Resident Evil 4 is very iconic, and I think it can only serve, and it's so campy, it's so like ridiculous that I can imagine somebody booting up even a brand spanking new beautiful looking version of Dead Space and maybe not getting it. Like I could see that. It's more niche because it is straight horror. Whereas Resident Evil 4 just has so much. Resident Evil in general has a lot to like about it. Just culture. It's just such it's such an attractive world, and it's just these characters are very, very. I can actually even see some design decisions that they're making with Dead Space Remake kind of like working again. Like I think they said something along the lines of they're making Isaac talk more or something, which I could see that being maybe a problem actually. And little things like that. I just feel like. I feel like it's going to be a lot easier for Resident Evil 4 to just clear this, even though Dead Space is probably going to be fucking great too.
All right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I feel like the hype. Well, I don't know. There's definitely a lot of hype behind both of these games, but I think that the fact that Resident Evil 4 is riding in with Resident Evil 2 remake and 3 behind it, and the success of 7 and 8. I feel like that definitely is going to have an effect. As far as Dead Space, I mean, what we've seen looks fantastic, but it does still feel a little untested. Like I don't know. There seems to be a few, I don't want to say bad, but like Chris was saying, questionable decisions. So my money's on Resident Evil 4.
The other thing too to take into consideration is that Dead Space 1 as is still looks really good. Like at least I think so. Like
I just played it in 2020. It was awesome.
Yeah, like I don't think it's aged nearly as much. And so I feel like there's just generally less ground to cover when you're updating a game like that. Like Resident Evil 4, I still think plays pretty well, but it definitely plays way older. And it's definitely something that could be heavily uplifted by modern tech and modern hardware and modern software design and modern visuals, more so than Dead Space, which I feel like more or less kind of like this Dead Space remake looks like how I remember Dead Space looking basically. Whereas Resident Evil 4 looks transformatively different. Like Resident Evil 4 is tattooed in my brain. I remember that game very, very vividly. And it just looks so much better than its predecessor, than Dead Space Remakes looks. And again, that's not to shit on Dead Space Remake. It's just iterating on a piece of software that was already so good at a baseline that I just feel like any bells and whistles you add to it are going to be cool and they're going to be interesting, but it's not going to be this big, like even just seeing like that chainsaw parry, man, in the Resident Evil 4 trailer, or just like little environmental details that they've added to that game, just looks really astounding. And I think they're both going to be great. I think they're both pretty solid, easy, high 8s to maybe even both of them getting into like mid 90s. I wouldn't be surprised by that necessarily, but I think if you were to compare them directly, I think Resident Evil 4 is going to come out on top, unless they botch it in some way that I can't fucking possibly foresee.
Doubt.
That's I think the outcome. Yeah,
Capcom's killing right now. Doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah. RE4 Remake is definitely going to sell more copies. Critical reception, don't know. I think Dead Space is going to have some sort of ancillary benefit from being near Callisto Protocol, because Callisto Protocol is going to make Dead Space look even better. And that's no disrespect to Callisto Protocol. It's just that the games are being talked about in the same breath a lot. There's one's obviously a spiritually imbibed with it. And so I think that Dead Space is going to really shine because it's going to obviously be great. I don't know how they're going to fuck that up, but it's true. Dead Space still holds up. totally well. At least it did. I played it on PS3 early 2020 for Knockback. Hadn't played it since it came out. I guess what was that, 2008? And so it does hold up pretty well. I think it's on Unreal 2.x, if I'm not
Something
mistaken.
like that, yeah.
So pretty old. Okay. Oh, you know what? It wouldn't be on Unreal. It's an EA game. What engine is Dead Space on? I'm gonna look. Dead Space. Okay. Oops. There we go. What the fuck is this shit? Oh, okay.
Is it a proprietary one?
No, it went to the wrong. It went to like the. It
says Visceral Engine, but
I don't see anything for it. Yeah, it's got to be something proprietary. EA wouldn't use Unreal.